Hello, class. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about platforms, the various platforms, type of content, and really what you should consider when deciding what platforms to use. I'll try to keep it short today. As usual, here are some articles, and the next slide has some news. These are articles that I carried over from last spring, so they're a little dated, but I think they're relevant. One is TikTok. Last year was really encouraging its creators to post videos in landscape format. So for a while there, TikTok really was owning or was gaining a lot of ground in the mobile social media, but really to compete with content like YouTube and platforms that people are going to watch on a wider screen. They wanted to encourage their content producers to start creating alternative media formats. So I think it's just a good example of how different platforms are trying to kind of expand their scope. So they're trying to be more of a YouTube channel than just a Instagram competitor. The second article talks about Pinterest. This is a good example in many ways of a platform trying to kind of market to its own content producers, but they're basically trying to give hints to people who are trying to sell their crafts or whatever hobbies that they promote on Pinterest. And so, good example of a platform trying to give some tools or guidance to its users from the people who are trying to sell stuff on the platform versus people who are, going to Pinterest as visitors. The next three articles are more current. So the first one is Instagram really is dabbling. So again, like all these platforms are kind of crossing over, but Instagram is trying to make itself more search relevant, and so really kind of changing the nature of Instagram and trying to make it so people's profiles and social content actually shows up in Google search as organic search results. And so this is a good way to drive more traffic to Instagram. I would say, for decades, Google has owned the organic search space, and so Instagram is trying to play in that. Even ChatGPT is trying to play into that. So I find that as an interesting article. The next one is just a good example of everyone's introducing AI tools, but Meta is really trying to cater to creators, giving them some new tools to really hone in on personas and the ability to have high quality dubbing. And so again, kind of catering to that content producer and giving some new tools that makes it easier for everyone. The final article is Reddit, and in 2025, Reddit started promoting in discussion forums. They started promoting, or I shouldn't say Reddit, Google. So again, another Google article. Google is basically starting to display discussions and forums in organic search. So if you go out and search for a topic on Google in the organic search, you may see Reddit come up if there's a relevant forum or discussion. The interesting thing there is Google bought Reddit back in 2024. So again, kind of expanding its reach into the social media platforms. But on the flip side, giving Reddit some traffic out of Google search. So again, those are some news and articles on platforms. looking at just some of the things to consider when you're deciding what platform to use to market or advertise. Number one, know your customer, right? Different platforms are used by, different audiences and genres. Know your business goals. So what are you trying to do? What are your goals that you're trying to achieve with social media? And that will also drive your platforms, right? And then what are your resources and content capabilities? This is a big one. So, there's a lot of platforms in a coming slide. I'm going to kind of hit on some of the big ones. But you really got to think about how often can you create content? What type of content can you create, right? Like, if you can only create one video every 6 months, YouTube's probably not going to, you're probably not going to have enough content there to be really effective with YouTube. So, really looking at what are your realistic abilities to create engaging content that, again, is targeted to your customers and at a frequency that's going to be impactful. Sometimes it may make sense to only focus on one or two platforms just so you can be effective instead of diluting it and sporadically doing activities across numerous platforms. Look at your industry and competitors. Look at what they're doing. Where are they at? What tools are they using? And then monitor, see what works, see what your engagement is. Basically pilot and test a lot. And those are really the core things that should be going into deciding what platforms or a platform to start with. Looking at the different platforms, there's a lot. Facebook and Instagram, part of Meta, are still probably the largest. LinkedIn is the number one B2B. X, owned by Elon Musk, kind of has evolved. It used to be Twitter, but it's a short form blogging platform primarily. You got YouTube, which is video content. Now you can watch TV and movies. TikTok, again, video sharing. Snapchat, messaging, again, video, photo sharing. Reddit, we talked about Reddit earlier. Again, it was bought by Google. It's a discussion forum platform. You got Nextdoor, which is an example of networking within your neighborhoods. WhatsApp, also owned by Meta, is a messaging platform. Some newer ones that seem to be focused more on the kind of political spectrum, but you have Blue Sky. Again, Blue Sky has kind of been adopted by more the liberal side of the political spectrum. And then you have Truth Social that has been adopted more by the conservative side. It was started by Trump Media and Technology, owned by President Trump. And so those are two new players. I would say the significant thing, whether you agree with it or not, is the fact that our president is using Truth Social as a way to communicate with the U.S. So again, wide list. There's more to this, but these are the primary players in social media right now. The example, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'm using Nike. Nike has over 200 social media accounts. Is pretty heavy user. They're everything from image, video, stories, live streams. They're responding to customers. They use a lot of social listening. They're trying to figure out like how relevant is their brand in discussions. So when you hear social listening, usually there's metrics around share of voice or how often is your brand coming up in discussions on social media. They're launching products. They're collaborating with their athletes. They're trying to build customer relationships and loyalty. They're even providing customer support, and then a lot of proof and testimonials. So they're a heavy user of social media marketing, and obviously a well-known brand. Here are two examples of Instagram posts with athletes, and the reason I include these is it also shows how Nike's engaging with people. So the first one, there is a visitor who's asking what type of shoe that is, and Nike's responding and kind of telling them they're sold out. And then the article with the runner, or the Instagram post with the runner, you can see kind of responding to a disappointed customer. So again, they're engaging. They're not just pushing out content. They're engaging with people who are reacting to their content, and they're using a lot of different formats. So here's an example of stories on Instagram, and then photos and videos, and then sorry, my Cameo's in the way, but just how they're templating, trying to keep a consistent brand image with their templated ads. They're on X, actively on X, and then YouTube. The video is just an example of kind of how they're engaging, using a basketball player as one of their athletes in the video. And so, again, Nike has done a really good job of maximizing kind of numerous platforms, numerous formats, and numerous engagement methods on social media. So I think they're a really good example. I will end with not everyone has the marketing team or the budget that Nike has. And so again, I go back to, you do have to be realistic with your ability to create content and be able to push it out. And so making those judgments. But I do feel this is just a good example of full-blown maximizing social media. So with that, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope everyone has a good week. Thank you.